right, hello everyone, and Maddie, welcome to season 2, the year 2026, built to scale, season 2, episode 1, or episode 34, whatever you like. Maddie, how you going? Happy New Year.
Well, Happy New Year to you too. And firstly, can we just celebrate? I didn't think we'd make it to a season 2. So 34 episodes later, this is, regardless of viewership or any other metric, I think we've done pretty bloody well.
Good point, isn't it? It's a bit of a an ode to the bootstrapped startup. Like no one can pull the rug from underneath you, or not fund your next round. If you fund it yourself, you can survive.
And just keep going, yeah. Well, no, happy 2026 to you. I hope you had a good break or got some time down from work. And mate, I'm keen to get into it today. There's been a lot of news from the break, and we've got a massive docket, don't we?
We do, and I think this is going to be the year for me this year because I don't know if you've seen, but booze is back. GQ magazine, who potentially have some alcohol sponsorship, so we won't look too hard into this. But they published something saying basically a few people have decided that have gone off the booze because all the people in the 20s have gone off the booze in the last sort of 5 years. But they're saying that everyone's now bored, not knowing what to do with their life, and the booze is back. What are your thoughts?
Well, we've been proponents of this. It's quite well known, and we've talked about it a lot, that we both, somewhat partial to a glass or a bottle or two of red wine. And look, there's no denying that, if you're drinking every single night and getting smashed, that's not good for you. But it wasn't. Look, I didn't do any research on the article, but they made one interesting point that was like humans have been drinking since the dawn of time, and it does. People do open up a little bit. People tend to be a little bit more social, and if you're net analyzing, the health benefits of going booze free versus what you lose with the social side, maybe net booze is healthy. Who knows?
Yeah, look, I'm pretty much going founder mode on booze for the last 10 years. I would almost say I'm booze native in my in my role as the way I approach booze. So look, I think, like you said, don't need to go too hard, but sometimes it's a nice way to lighten things up. So very excited about that. And what's happening over at your guy? What's Toby Lutke up to at the moment? He seemed to me like he's had a busy break, busy December jam.
Yeah. So our mate Toby, founder of Shopify, we all know that he is a ex-programmer or still does some programming, and he's been leaning into AI tools very hard with his organization. Shopify has been on the forefront of building AI. Like, they were the guys that did the partnership with Google and some other big players on what this like agentic shopping protocol looks like. I forget the actual name of it, but he's really considering, especially just to protect his own shareholders, like, if agents are going to be doing shopping in the future and you're going to be buying all of your, fashion wear from ChatGPT, say, how does Shopify exist, or how do they play into that? And so they've been doing a really good job of being on the forefront of AI. And that's often, when we've seen the companies, like these big existing companies that have become AI native, who usually drives it? It's usually a founder, CEO driven, founder mode type thing. Like, otherwise these organizations have too much bloat to just become all of a sudden AI native. So he's been really pushing it. And what I like about Toby is he leads from the front. He's not just sitting there in a boardroom slamming his fists on the table saying, hey, we need AI. He's going out there and building stuff because he's a programmer and he's found the time to do it. One example that I saw was he gets an MRI done, and the results of the MRI have this really like old school legacy software to read the file formats, and it's almost unusable. And they deliver it to you on a USB stick. So he got Claude Code, a coding tool, which we're going to talk about on the docket because there's some big news there, to actually just rebuild the software to view his MRI in the way that he wanted to see it. And that was just one tweet that he put out there. And one of the ones that I really like, actually, and this is getting a little bit more nerdy, but when software developers write code, it gets reviewed by other people to make sure that whatever code is getting into production doesn't break or isn't posing as a security risk. And what he's saying is, rather than reviewing the code now, just review the prompts. Like, forget about the code. Assume that the AI is going to be doing a good job of writing the code. Just submit what prompts you put in and what you instructed the software to do, and we'll review that and just assume that the code's fine. And I think that really is telling for where we're at in 2026.
I like when some of the geeky leaders as well, we need these guys to be public in everything, to just give all the rest of you a sense of it's okay to say this now. Toby said it, we can now say it in the office.
We can exactly.
It's similar. I think we were talking about earlier, the like Karpathy, like over the last 4 or 5 weeks, it seems like it's becoming okay to, like, it's not elitist software engineering to say I'm using the tools now. It's like, I'm using them. And that's okay.
Yeah, well, we actually in our interviews for developers, we have actually put using AI tools is okay and is a good thing. And we went a little bit too far with that because we had all these people coming in who clearly had no idea what they were doing and just trying to get a job and just using AI. So there's got to be a balance. What we call it is like the competency test. Like, you can use AI, but you still need to prove a level of competency without it. And we test for that as well. But totally, like, why would we be trying to test someone's ability to handwrite algorithms if, when they get into the workplace, really what we want them doing is using the latest AI tools to code for them?
Yeah. And speaking of Andre Karpathy, so was he head of autonomy at Tesla previously?
Yeah, he was.
And then what did he get into after that? What has he been up to? Just for people who maybe not know, aren't as niche and don't know what we're talking about.
That's actually a good question. He's done a lot of like videos on how to build LLMs, and I don't know did he have any time at OpenAI as well? I'm not sure.
Yeah, he's got his own. So what was he? Previously director of AI at Tesla and founding team at OpenAI.
Yes.
So and Elon's always asked him to come back. So he's a bit of a living legend in the tech scene. But I think I'm going to change. I know you were thinking that my co-founder should be Jan, but I think I'm raising the bar. I'm going off Jan, although you want me there. I think Andre is the kind of co-founder I'm looking for at Elysium, or because I figured if I said to him, do you want to be the founding engineer, he'd probably say no. But co-founder, right alongside me, I think I'd get him, because over the break, he basically hacked into his own home automation system with Claude Code and started just writing code to control his house and building his own software and building his own dashboards and basically thrown out a $1 billion, multi-billion-dollar product called the Lutron system. So I mean, this is the kind of guy that I would have dreams over. This is, I don't know, just, you're a tech guy. Are these guys just floating around out there that are sort of doing this?
All I'll say, Scotty, if Elon can't get him, I've got my doubts.
Oh, come on.
But I want to throw something back at you. My question now is, do you need your co-founder? Because Andre Karpathy, he used Claude Code. Maybe Scotty can be hacking into home systems with Claude. Maybe Claude Code is your founding engineer or your CTO.
Wow. We've reduced it back then, because Andre was saying he did feel behind in the tool use only a few weeks ago. So maybe you're right. Maybe I've gone past him, which we did mention when Tesla had their 10-year plan. They just forgot the home because it was too technical. And maybe you're right. Maybe we've gone past both of them at Elysium. So thank you for that. I was a bit low on confidence, as you can imagine, but you've boosted me back up to know that I've gone past Karpathy.
That's what I'm here to do.
So
that's why I'm here.
Which is what I need at 6 a.m. on a Wednesday. Mate, last one just for a little bit of banter. You and I love causing tension at home by talking about dating apps every second week on the show. But I think we've reached peak dashboard. There is a nightclub in Tokyo that on the front door has a dashboard of how many guys and how many girls are inside. And what a just a fantastic use of dashboarding. Like this could have
Genius.
saved us so much time.
No dashboards ever get looked at, but this one is gonna pop.
And I'm like, and I believe when I first brought this up with you, you mentioned you went straight to product mode, and you think there's a wrapper. There's a wrapper product here, is there not?
Oh yeah. There's a wrapper here. Someone's going to hack into CCTV systems to look at the dashboards, and it's going to map it out. So when you're planning your night out, you already automatically know the ratios. But I wonder how they're getting it. If they've gone full AI and they're just using cameras to understand whether there's males or females in there, or if they're going old school and just with a clicker, the security guard's got one for males and one for females. Maybe they've hooked the clickers up to the dashboard.
Yeah, I was gonna say those security guards that on the clicker, they're AI enabled clickers. We got AI enabled security guards. They're finally doing something. The security guards. Anyway, so that's very very good use of dashboarding. Feels very peak dashboard, but as we know now, like anything's possible. So. That was a good one for us. Mate, you were right at the start of the show. There has been 3 weeks off for us. Way too much news to get into. So I think we should get straight into the AI news for the week. And let's kick it off with Claude. What do we know? So Opus was released end of November last year. And I think straight away people said this is a pretty big jump, but it takes time for people to really use products for them to figure out what's going on. And I would say that socially it's been pretty noisy over the last 4 weeks that this is one of the biggest leaps that anyone's seen. And then after that, maybe I want to talk about what you're seeing as, in the trenches with the product. And then the next one we'll probably talk about is this Cowork product that's come out over the last few days. And then that's probably closer down my direction because it's the non-technical people. So, but tell us a bit like what you've seen with this latest coding model out of Claude.
Yeah, well, I think I want to start first of all by not talking about Claude itself, but this broader kind of watershed moment for AI that I'm seeing. And because Claude is at the middle of this, I think that 2026 is the year that everyone has to lean in to using AI to getting work done, especially in tech companies, but soon it'll be at every company. Otherwise, you'll get left behind. And a couple of things have kind of culminated here. There's all of the technology, and Claude Code is at the middle of it. So I'm about to talk about Claude and what's happened there. But also what I wanted to say is the advancements in the last couple of months have meant that some of the really smart people out there that were still naysayers in AI have now leaned in as well. And so it's almost like that's the straw that's broken the camel's back, and we are truly at the inflection point now. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of it. Claude. Basically, Claude is the model that Anthropic built. And remember, for maybe new listeners, Anthropic was the initial competitor company to OpenAI. A bunch of people left from OpenAI to start Anthropic. They said that they were going to take safety more seriously. And they've gone really hard on doing AI for the enterprise. They've gone less so on the consumer side of things, and more AI for the enterprise, meaning servicing businesses and work rather than just personal AI. And so Claude was their model. It got really good. It was really good at coding. They released in the Claude model, they had Opus 4.5, which was released recently in November, like you said. And that has now been lauded as one of the best coding models, if not the best that's out there. But they also built a tool called Claude Code. And so this is something that it's not just like using ChatGPT in an app. They built this tool that went into your computer terminal. So nerd talk for like being able to write software and quite a low layer in the stack. And so a lot of engineers, rather than actually going into like a cursor or these other editors to change code and have it AI assisted, just started prompting to get their code. And they don't actually need to really even see the files. They're just seeing the outputs and they're using AI to do it through their terminal. Claude Code has gotten so good that people are literally like rebuilding whole businesses in a week just by prompting Claude Code and getting it to use things. Like I've seen people out there create DocuSign competitors. I've seen people creating CRM competitors. Now, there is some nuance to that. Like you can't actually go and just be DocuSign because you don't have all of the infrastructure that they have and be able to service hundreds of countries and the velocity, but you can build the nuts and bolts of a tool like that in a weekend. And now that's making its way into the enterprise where people are saying, well, yeah, it's all well and good to start something from scratch, but can I actually go into my legacy system, my big system, and start using a tool to understand the whole code base and make meaningful changes with a few prompts? And the answer now is yes, you can. People are doing that. In fact, the Claude team used the Claude model to build Claude Code, and Claude Code is now going and building all of this enterprise software. And so this is what has really moved the needle in the past 2 months is the release of Opus 4.5 and the ability to plug that into Claude Code, because the other thing that Claude Code does is it can plug into your whole file system. It has access to all your local files. It can control your computer. It can look at browsers for you. So it really can start just automating things, all of these tasks for you. And I, as an example, Aaron, my co-founder, has actually built a tool where he can access his computer that's running. So he's bought an Apple Mac Mini, which is like the desktop version. You can really juice up the specs on it and runs at 100%, just on all the time with access to it. Then he can access that from his laptop or his phone. He can even be on WhatsApp talking to Claude Code and getting it to do tasks on his computer. There's ability to receive a call from Claude Code. You could be out having a run and think of something and say, maybe just go and send that email or find this file on my computer and send it to this person and get it to do these things for you. So really game-changing technology. And as recent as literally 24 hours ago, Claude just came out with their new product called Claude Cowork. And the easiest way to say this is it's Claude Code for the non-technical user. They've actually built this into a much easier to use app with all of the same Claude Code functionality, and it can access your whole file system. It can, do things like access your messages. So I've just been using Claude Cowork, and I actually upgraded to the Claude Max plan to get access to this. So I've finally gone for the $200 a month. It can literally send messages for you. It automates almost anything you want to do, and I think that is it's been a very good start to 2026. I think this sets the tone for what work is going to look like in 2026.
Yeah, so this is a moment for white collar and knowledge work where we go from chatbots to genuine co-pilot. I suppose the promise that Microsoft made two years ago, and they've been doing it with hype videos and not with products. The equivalent for a blue collar worker is like, I'm a bricklayer. I've been able to, like the chatbot version of it is, I might have been able to get it to mix mud for me or do not much. But now what you're saying is it the back end that has improved so much so that the accuracy of what's going on and the lack of errors and the lack of hallucinations is getting to a point where it's almost the bricklayer is saying, this thing's laying bricks better than my team.
Yep.
Or
and I trust it as well that it's not going to screw it up, or it's going to come to me. Yeah, it's going to come to me when it doesn't know what to do. Do I need to do a corner here? It's not clear. I'm actually going to come to you for that rather than just sending it and wasting millions of bricks.
Yeah.
So yeah,
which is an incredible moment, isn't it? It's like it's if you think like if you were, because we're going to get to this part with robotics with physical AI where yes, I can invest in this robot or whatever. But it's starting to lay bricks in the wrong direction, and it's wigging out a bit. But then what you're saying now is they've sorted it out, the actual quality of it, and now they're starting to wrap it with white collar products that are genuinely going to be automating work. I suppose my question on it though is, do you think what direction are we going? Are we going in a direction where you give Claude access to all of your tools and it looks at your existing workflows and you keep telling it, oh, go on HubSpot and do X? Or are we getting to a point where you end up just telling it to do something, it writes a program and just you start the workflow again from scratch and it builds the software and just does the thing where you say, I need to do X, and then it does it? Or is the next 6 months, go on Slack, go on HubSpot, use all these existing tools and start helping me with my work?
So I think a key insight here is that in the enterprise space, we still need shared understanding. You still need to be able to go into a board meeting and pull up a report that people know what it means. You still need to have a process whereby sometimes you want to know where to go to look for information, or you want to have that visual in front of you. And that's where I think something like a CRM is probably not going anywhere. Like, you still need a system of record that you want to go in and see what this account has done, what information is there, how many users do they have in this product, or where are we at the sales life cycle. And I think you still want that structured information there. Now, you could argue that you could store all of that as text documents somewhere that's not very accessible, and then you use AI to build the software on the fly to view it and query it. But you lose that. That might work well for a solo person or a solo founder, but in a team, you don't have that shared insight. And I think there's a parallel between that and what's happening in the consumer space, where everyone's talking about, are we just going to have personalized movies or personalized software that's just for us? And I think the key insight is that as humans, we want shared understanding of things. We want to be able to go and say, hey, did you see the new Batman movie? Yeah, I did. Or rather than, how was your Batman movie? Oh, yours was great. You know what
You're
I mean?
better at Batman than me.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't think we're going to go fully personalized and everything, or like music. Like, yes, you could go and remix a song with AI, but we don't have that shared communal understanding of that cultural element to it. And part of that, I think, is going to exist in B2B software as well, where we still need that certain frameworks to how things are structured and how we use tools, rather than everything being generated on the fly. Now, in saying that, when it comes to like little point solutions that don't do much, I think they're going to go away. People are just going to build that because they can build it with a prompt, and it will work exactly how they want it to, rather than trying to retrofit themselves.
Yeah, so I think it's an excellent point around that shared understanding. And then I suppose, yeah, if you're in a larger corporation and you go, oh, we've got this big software bill with this enterprise software, how much time do you want, and who's running and teaching everyone and training everyone how to use the new thing? And like, what's the real cost of not just picking something up off the shelf? So that, and you're probably right. So then it turns into, you're then going to have your relationship with your AI, where you might have, there's people online talking about having 20 projects done in the last however long. And so privately, like your own computer, you might have a bunch of different little software or apps that you've built to help you with your own productivity. But then the shared understanding software is going to be conventional leveraged AI enterprise software.
Yeah. And I'll add one more thing. I think there's a bit of a misunderstanding about like ability to build software with AI. So yes, the barriers to entry have gone to almost zero. Anyone can go in and start building software, but it doesn't mean that someone who has been a good software builder in the past, armed with these tools, is suddenly at the same level as everyone else. A good example, again, of this is I'll reference Aaron, my co-founder of The Break. He's been playing with these tools. Has actually started on a project that we have been thinking about doing for a while, but haven't done because of the technical complexity. And the amount that he managed to do with AI over the course of a week was phenomenal. But there is absolutely no way that the progress that I would have made as someone who hasn't coded properly in 3 years and was never that good anyway, I would not have made nearly as much progress. I might have made 10% of the progress. And then someone who has never coded before might have made 1% of the progress. So having the knowledge of what to do and having been in this space before, still you can take your ability from being really good to being superhuman level with AI. And that's what I think people are starting to realize in the white collar space is you can take a skill set that you have. So let's say with you, Scotty, you always talk about one of your concrete skill sets in construction being able to estimate and quote up a high-end house. That was one of the things that you held on to for a long time. With AI now, if you were as good as the tools as, say, the grad coming in, you're still going to do that way better than the grad if they would just rely on the AI to do it. And so it can, people who are leaning in and learning how to use the tools and who are combining that with the skill set that they already have, they're the people who are getting 10x or 100x in what they can do. And I think that's where we're going to have this divergence between the people who are saying no to using the tools or just don't want to learn it. It's going to be a really telling year for the people who lean in and use it to augment themselves versus the people who go, that's a bit scary. It sounds like I'm replacing myself here. So I think that's just another sort of dichotomy that we're seeing.
Yeah. So if with any tool, I suppose you're leveraging it. And how the person with the most amount of knowledge is going to leverage the tool the most, and then
knowledge of the tool and then your own personal knowledge as well.
Yeah, personal knowledge. Yeah. So your personal knowledge, because you're sort of cutting through all that noise that the tool's gonna, that all these bots. I think might have been Aaron Levy was talking about this knowledge overhang with the tools. Like with the current models, that they're actually capable of doing far more, and a lot of people are stuck in chatbot mode still. And we're talking about full agentic behavior here and leveraging it. And I think at the start of the show you sort of mentioned that 2026 is the year where you stop getting the opportunity to be in the sandpit and deciding whether you're going to use the chatbot or not, and it's sort of like coming to work without a computer. Do you know what I mean? Like, what do you mean you came in without your Mac? How are we going to communicate? You're like, well, I'm just talking. I refuse to get to pull my top out. And you're like, what? You're gone. Like it sounds like it's getting to that point where I refuse to go on the phone. I refuse to go on the laptop. It's like, do you feel like this year is, well, if you're not going to use the tools, you're going to be in strife?
Yeah, if I had to make a prediction, I think in a lot of white collar companies, maybe less so in more like blue collar work, but even though we're obviously seeing that getting disrupted, but I think in white collar companies, I think it's going to be a really telling year.
So something like, Claude Cowork's only been out for 48 hours, right? Or 24 hours. So we're both going to have I tried to upgrade yesterday, but I forgot my Apple bloody password, and then I had to go on one of those security watches for 2 hours, and then I gave up on a flight to Perth. I had Wi-Fi though on a Qantas flight to Perth. That was good.
Wow.
But at what point do you think this is the kind of tool where you pay for everyone? Like once you use it, you go, shit, I'm X. Is it, as businesses, do you start making decisions going, well, we need to get everyone on this, and then if you do you start, a business is going to start having KPIs saying how, every week, show me what you've done with this tool, show me how you're using it, teaching moments, Jensen style, everyone, I'm going to do a memo, a loom, and show you exactly how I want you using it. Like, I feel like everyone's been allowed to do whatever they want for the last year or two. Do you think it's going to get more pointed now?
Yeah, I think so. And I think what's going to happen is senior leaders, especially founders, people with ownership who really care about the company's direction, I think are going to lean into this first. Once they see the capabilities, are going to start realizing how much they can get done. And then that expectation is then going to fall down into all staff members. It's like, well, I asked you to put together this project. It would have used to have taken a month. I now realize that if I set my mind to it, I could do it in 3 days to a really high quality. So why would I pay you to spend a month on this thing? That's going to be the calculus that leadership is doing. At least for those who lean into it, leadership who leans in. And so I think it will just naturally happen. I think that then you're right that leadership will say, okay, we've bought everyone a subscription to this because we know that it can make you work at least, say, 3 times as efficiently as you would have, if not 5, 10 times as efficiently. So here's your subscription. As far as like the metrics on using it, yeah, we have talked about this. We've tried to like say, okay, we will be benchmarking against AI usage. It's kind of hard. Like, what do you measure for? Do you measure for just like time in the tool? That's not very good because you can use the tool really inefficiently. Are you looking at like quality of the prompts? So I don't know if that actually works unless you've got some ideas. But what I think it'll get back to is just pure KPIs, like the quality of this project and a deadline on it. Can you get it done? And how much work can you do? Just basic stuff like that, not actually how you're using the tool, but what is your output? Measure the output, and to get to the level of output that's expected, you have to become very good at using these tools.
Yeah, so the second and third order effects of that, like one, company should be able to do more per staff member, right? So people are, companies that are on the front foot here are going to be, doing, should be standing out against their competitors. And then 2, what about the valuations of these companies then? Like if this, how many people can honestly play in this space? Like, is this Claude, OpenAI, Google? They're the 3. Like, or what? Like, what are your thoughts on, like, say Claude's valuation is 300 billion or something? It might have seemed like a lot 2 months ago, and I think it's quadrupled in 12 months or something like that. But like, what does it really mean if this product is what we are saying it might be?
Yeah, I'm starting to lean more on the side of these big frontier model companies are, if anything, undervalued. It's like seeing what they can do. Claude Cowork was built by them in just over a week. And people are saying that this product itself could be $100 billion company just based on the subscriptions that will be upgraded to use this tool. They own the model. They are going to have people giving it access to their whole file systems. This is going to be potentially rolled out at an enterprise level across organizations. Like, I'm actually starting to look at companies like Anthropic as maybe it's the new Microsoft. Like, you would have said back in the day when Microsoft was coming along, you would have laughed at their valuation and, seen like maybe been shocked to say like this one company or this one guy, Bill Gates, that was going to put out software that would run almost every single computer in the world and run every single business would be on this Office platform. You might say that's crazy. Maybe that's what these companies are going to be. Maybe they will become the new Microsofts and Googles, and we'll talk about Google a bit later. It looks like they're holding their own here, but I don't think $300 billion is a crazy valuation for Anthropic based on what I've seen from that tool.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I think that's reasonable. I think when you take yourself out of the news cycle, I suppose it's just interesting where the money ends up going in the, once capitalism grabs a hold of it. Are they, for instance, losing money on this compute still? Like, is it still all going back to NVIDIA or like, where's the margin actually going? But yeah, in terms of user and use cases and value add, we're seeing immense value. And even at $200 a month, I mean, you don't have to do much for it to be worth it, do you? Considering what starving bills and stuff cost. So
yeah, it's exactly like, if let's just say Claude Cowork makes every let's just say it makes every 100K employee twice as efficient. Let's be conservative. There's a world where you're not going to pay the difference. You're not going to pay another 100K for it. But if you could hire half the people or get double the output from the same people, maybe you would be paying, I don't know, $25,000 per employee to use this tool if they were really that efficient with it. So it's like, that's a far cry from the $200 a month that it's currently costing. I think there's a crazy amount of opportunity still for these big companies.
Yeah, I think the bit where we get to benefit is the fact that because there's 4 or 5 or 6 of them going at it, they just keep undercutting each other down to us getting it for that $200. So I think we're in the Goldilocks zone at the moment. And I mean, speaking of valuations and things like that, obviously the elephant in the room. We've got a few things today talking about Google and Apple as well, but OpenAI, probably not as much news around their last 4 weeks as some of these other players. But something that they've rolled out in the last week is ChatGPT Health. And it was kind of weird because I think about a month ago, they must have got attacked by someone, and then they put out the please don't use us for medical advice. And now they're saying here's a product, connect it to your medical records. And it just starts looking at because they're a great product company, all the different verticals, everything they can get involved in, and all the deals they can cut with whoever they want to cut with. It's an interesting move into the health sector, and you start thinking about the strategy of this company now.
Yeah, it's definitely the consumer play, right? It's like we want to be the everything app for the consumer. How do we tap into everything that they're doing, whether it's their finances, whether it's their health, whether it's their family? It is smart. They're leaning into. I think you called it right early, Scotty, to say that they're like the Apple. They're going to be really good at making beautiful products, and they're going to keep doing that because, while Claude Code and Claude Cowork could really disrupt the enterprise space, a lot of people at home don't want to, have complicated setups to things. They want to just use the app that's simplest to use and just works out of the box. If it automatically integrates with your health and gives you the best advice, then that's the app that people will keep using.
Yeah. So do you see it like similar to what your phone screen looks like from a user experience standpoint? Do you see yourself clicking on the the ChatGPT app? It opens up almost the equivalent of a new home screen with just a bunch like health, work, and app and ChatGPT have their own store, basically their own app store within themselves, and you're subscribed to as many of their products as you like, and they've got their own ecosystem, and that's probably why they want their own device. But what do you think? What can you see for the future of the OpenAI sort of ChatGPT experience?
Yeah, so I think the ChatGPT experience could become like one of those super apps. And we've seen this already happen before. There's a playbook for this, and it's been written by the Chinese. So there's WeChat and Alibaba that have exactly this. You open WeChat and you get like almost your own operating system. They've got payments in there. They've got social media. They've got chat. They've got file storage. Who knows? They've probably got all this health stuff now as well. So potentially that's a play. And then the more like the one step further from this, which is the Elon kind of, it sounds crazy but might become true, is do we lose operating systems altogether? Like, does the AI become the app? Does the AI become the operating system, and it just generates the things that you need? I think the hard thing about that is what I was talking about before, this like idea of shared experience, and we still need visual interfaces to communicate things with each other. But I think ChatGPT potentially becomes the equivalent of that super app, like say a WeChat has been in China.
Yeah, and there's room. You can now see this where everyone's like, OpenAI is going to kill Claude. Or you can now see everyone. This is such a big change that there's room for all these players, it seems, to be trillion-dollar companies, because there's just so much opportunity, and they might be gobbling up. Like in theory, Amazon is going really well, but I mean, Shopify seem to be attacking. Like, they're going to be competing for that retail type space. But there's definitely room for both. So it's it's very, very interesting. I just think that I'm still. Is Claude now your just daily go-to chatbot as well, or are you
No,
OpenAI?
no. Interestingly, not. No, I'm still OpenAI. So when I'm on my phone, I think that ChatGPT still has the best voice mode. Like
Yeah.
even compared to Grok and Gemini, like in Grok, I don't like it how you have to go into full conversation mode all the time, because often what I want to do is send a voice note, um, like go between the two, like be chatting and then do a voice note and go between the two. And ChatGPT allows me to do that. I think it has some of the best models and understanding. It's got the best background noise picking up, so it knows when you're talking versus someone else. And your big thing, I guess, with that you like about ChatGPT, it's got all of your data in there. It knows you. It knows what you like, right? And I haven't sort of built up that ecosystem within Claude or Grok. So yeah, going back to conversation that we had a couple of episodes ago around what do you use each model for? Like for me at the moment, it's day to day, and when I'm talking with it and getting quick answers, it's ChatGPT on the phone. When it's coding related and more work related stuff, I'm now using Claude more and more, especially with their new tools like Claude Cowork, and I'm getting more into Claude Code as I go founder moding and getting back onto some coding. And then Grok is my news. It's all my really truth seeking stuff. Like what is happening in the world right now, and get me to the bottom. Like give me an honest answer on this situation, or give me the latest in this space. I think Grok's really good at that. Gemini, I haven't actually been using that much because I'm not super. I think if I was super plugged into the Google ecosystem, like if I was in Google Sheets all the time and had everything in there, maybe I'd be more plugged into that. And I think it's a really good model, but interestingly, it hasn't moved the needle a lot for me in my workflow. But how about you? Are you still jumping between the models?
I'm only ChatGPT at the moment, and I probably had I think this Claude Cowork thing is probably the first step in the workplace where like, so I've got other people in the team using Claude for projects and things,
Mm.
but it's the co-work thing's probably the first thing where I'm going to have a proper dip at it. Um, but mate, I want to shift gears slightly. Does Mark Zuckerberg have an Asian fetish?
I don't know. Does he? You can answer that. Don't throw me under the bus.
Answer that. You can answer that, Scotty. Might be something you guys have in common. So there's he obviously spent $12 billion on Wangy at Scale AI, and then he's just head across the border again and raided China and got Manus for $5 billion. Now that is an expensive like vice, maybe, but in all seriousness, just there's probably a better way to throw to this, but yeah, Meta acquiring Manus quietly over the last 2 weeks. I really, really like this. I think the one thing the Zuck has proven is that he can't build anything apart from a communication tool for Harvard. So, like, he's proven over the last 15 years that acquisition is the way that they, um, you know, expand and grow, and they've done so good at it. I mean, they own half the advertising market in the world now. But this to me, because Manus, it just seemed like a great fit. Meta's cache, Meta's compute that they're going to be doing, Meta's all their products, and then Manus seemed to me to be the ultra, as all the Chinese companies are, like Unitree, the undervalued. If they were the US, they could have been anything, but the US just like the product itself. If I ever needed like a long form, almost agentic task done, I would always they go, oh, I'll do that one on Manus, and it was like, hold on, that's actually the whole. That means that's the smartest application. That's the best computer use and all the rest of it. So, what did you think about this?
Yeah, I think it's pretty smart as well. It'll be interesting to see if they can actually do anything with it. Like, do they operate? Like, what is the plan, right? Like, we haven't really seen what, the acquisition of Alexander Wang and what he's been doing there. Like, has that been a good acquisition of Scale AI? Did they basically buy Scale AI to make it so that their competitors couldn't access that? Or like, was that really a good move? So it doesn't really feel like they've done a heap. Even their glasses that seem really cool, like we're not seeing them anymore. Like, is anyone using them? Is anyone actually like, operating with real use cases on those glasses that seem like amazing technology? I'll be keen to get your thoughts on that. But with Manus, it's a really cool product. But I just don't know what the plan is with Meta. Like, what is the long game here? Is there a bit of 4D chess going, or does Mark just have too much money and he's just picking the companies that he wants to buy? Like, he's just going off his fetishes, as you might say. But and interestingly, another second thing I want your thoughts on, Scotty, is
Sorry. I'm mature enough to run a public podcast. I promise. I'm sorry for derailing the text.
Well, I'm gonna get your thoughts on two things, so I expect you to derail it again. But so Manus was founded in China, but then they moved to Singapore. Their headquarters is now there. So, like, why did they do that? Was it a strategically to then go and get acquired by Meta? Like, would Meta have been able to acquire a Chinese company? And how did the Chinese react to them getting moving their headquarters? So that's another. I actually don't know much about that, but I thought that's an interesting fact.
Yeah. So if you think you're on the frontier and you're in China, right? There's obviously a heap of, proportional tech talent over there. Don't you think it's probably a pretty smart move as a CEO to go to somewhere a bit more independent where all your options are open? Because if China and the US are both saying that AI is basically a security risk, that at any point they can block any acquisition, any funding, board seats, you name it. And I mean, the US almost more represents, such probably 80% of the funding globally into these businesses. So I imagine, you wouldn't know whether they already had some offers on the table, but once you're getting up to that serious valuation, if that local government is sleeping on you and they're not quite, across you yet, it's just, they might have got out just the right time. What I understand though is just from a news article is that China might be trying to get their fingers into this and sort of getting involved. But it could be an interesting little moment, geopolitically. If the US want to say, no, our companies can buy Singapore, and China's like, well, no, that's a Chinese company still. And, it could be an interesting pawn. But, yeah.
And is there going to be some sort of, Apple and Google siding up on the US side, but then Meta and Tesla go partnerships with China? Because I mean, we know that Elon loves China as well. He only released the what's this called, the Model X,
infuriated you,
which infuriated me. As I've moved to the US to get close to Elon, and he hasn't even built the car for me. Like, he's just given it to the Chinese only. And so, but maybe there is going to be something there. Maybe we can have a think about that for our predictions episode next week.
Well, let's move on and lean into this, fairly major news in the last 24 hours that Apple and Google have come to a commercial arrangement for the next, I don't know if they put years or whatever on it, or how long the deal is, but where Siri is going to be powered by Gemini. This is sort of like Porsche saying that they're going to use Ferrari as their engine. This is massive. So, like, there's a lot of different directions we can take this, but basically, what we understand from the deal is that I think you mentioned someone's paying someone $1 billion, but it sounds like it's a mutually beneficial arrangement, right? And what does this really mean though? Because for me, this is putting the Gemini model into every device on the planet, because they're in all the Android devices, and now they're going to be powering the Apple devices.
It's massive news, and I was glad you threw this in because I actually missed it. But it's huge news. We've seen so Apple and Google have had a commercial partnership before. We've seen that. But Google is the default search engine for Safari, and Google has to pay Apple an enormous amount every year for that right to be the default search engine, and the ROI on that is probably still huge. But this is a step further because you're right. This is like replacing the whole engine. It's not, Apple didn't do search. They had to pick someone. They had to pick, are we going to go Yahoo, Bing, or Google basically as the home screen? This is like saying, well, Apple has, got some of their own models, or at least reportedly so. This is admitting defeat and saying, if we want to compete, we have to use someone else's model here. We're going to stick to being the operating system and doing what we know best and doing hardware really well. And we're going to rely on someone else for this because we are behind. It's admitting that. But partnering up with Google, they've probably just gone down to what makes the most sense for us commercially. What's the most de-risk way of doing it? And because Google is, one of the biggest companies in the world, maybe they've predicted them to have their models to keep updating in the best way, have them access to the most data, becomes the smartest way for it to power Siri. That's where they've put their chips. They probably, if you're doing the calculus on it as Tim Cook, you're probably looking at your options. You've got OpenAI and their model, which is really good. You've got Grok, which is coming along, or you've got Google. They're the main ones who you can put into the heart of your phone. They probably look at Grok and just go, Elon's too rogue and hates Apple anyway, and like, why would we partner with him? OpenAI has had its moments, and potentially looking at that and going, they've way overspent and they don't actually have enough moat. Whereas Google is the powerhouse. They're not going anywhere. They're one of the biggest corporations on earth. They're shipping like crazy. And maybe it's just, that's the safe bet strategy for Apple.
Yeah, but they're direct competitors, right? At the hardware layer, they're direct competitors. So it's a really interesting decision. I also think the timing around this, around Tim Cook saying, I don't know if you saw, he said he's like getting tired and he's basically on his way out. So it just, the timing of all of it, but also even the time to get to this decision. Like, if you were here, why didn't you make it 2 years ago instead of just having no AI? Like, it's just a really interesting call. There must be so much going on behind the scenes with this, but it's going to change. I think it's a huge block. I mean, OpenAI basically have no choice now, I would think, than to build their own hardware products.
But that's a really good point. Maybe the dark horse theory here is that Apple is actually really scared of what Johnny Ive and OpenAI are doing, and that it is going to overtake them at a hardware level or something. That sounds crazy to think. For the reason of, maybe that weighs into it. I don't know.
Well, as a defense move, yeah, because I mean, this is like, just imagine what this means for Google, the amount of, billions of extra users they get. I mean, if OpenAI was trying to compete with them, how like, they've got their own TPUs, they're now on every device in the world. Like, how do you actually compete with them on cost?
Yeah, it becomes really hard. It does, if maybe not nailing Coffin moment, but it feels like this is a real hit for OpenAI.
Yeah. Well, we'll watch and see anyway. So hot off the press, that was. We've got to keep moving. So I want to get into tool of the week, and you've got something you've been playing around with, and then we've just got, I suppose, some more thoughts on, we'll say it, this vibe coding space. So why don't you take us through what you've been up to in your spare time, and then maybe we'll talk about some of the new terms that we're even starting to hear now, and what people might be able to give people some ideas in a slow January here in Australia, even, of what to do with their spare time at home instead of doom scrolling.
Yeah. Okay, and I'll try to keep it brief because we all know that I can waffle on when it comes to topics that I enjoy, and we're coming to the back end of the episode. But okay, so over the Christmas break, when Jane, my wife, and I had some downtime, we downloaded an app, and it's literally called Vibe Code. Like, they've taken the Vibe Code kind of cultural movement and named their app that. Very smart. And essentially what it does, it lets you build apps from an app on your phone. So rather than doing it with Claude Code on your computer and deploying it to your phone and having that kind of extra level, it really opens up the ability to do this and lowers the barrier. So downloaded that. We decided to build an app that we wanted, like no real intention on doing anything with this, but we just wanted it because our son is 18 months old. He's starting to talk a bit. We were tracking his words that he was saying through a notes app, a shared notes app, and the funny ways that he was saying them and sometimes taking video. So we built an app with this that essentially allows us to track the words that he's saying. We can both go in there. You can take a video of him saying the word and how funny it sounds. You can snippet the video. It's like a little dictionary of his words over time. He's up to almost 200 now. Smart little guy. Little plug for the big Orlando. But we've even built features into it like, you can take those snippets and put them as stories, and then we can invite things like grandparents in to see the updates, the words that they're learning. And I'm like, this kind of app, it would literally, if you went to an agency 12 months ago and said, build me this, they would have asked for $500,000 and 2 years. And we built it in like a weekend and probably spent $200 on credits. So I think the point of all that is, one, go download this app if you want to. I'm not getting any kickbacks for promoting it, but it's a lot of fun to see what you can do. You start putting $20 in there and see what you come up with. But two, like just where this is heading, those types of things, it's only going to get better. It's only going to get cheaper. And when you want something, it's really this idea of on-demand software. I have this idea. I want this thing. I can have it created for me by technology in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, so we enter the age of personal software, right? First question, what'd you call it?
The current front runner for the name is called Little Words.
Okay, I just told Claude to buy up all the domains. We can have a chat after the show. We can auction that off. It's no, look, mate. It's a really interesting one. I don't know if I spoke about this last year, but I went to Aspen, saw and a guy came and spoke to us in the wellness space, and he's charging people in Aspen $50,000 a year to basically do a bunch of blood tests and scans and have two doctors look at those and give them some constant anti-aging advice. And I'm like, this sounds like it needs AI, not doctors, and it sounds like it should be $300 a month, not $5,000 a month. So anyway, so I bought Fit.ai on the plane on the way home, and I just thought all you need to do is go get a blood test, which is free in Australia, and then put the thing into this thing, and that's a product. And if this guy's gonna be selling it for $50,000, who knows what I could sell it for? So anyway, so I've got that thing, but I was thinking about it the other day, and then you sort of saw what was it Toby Lutke was talking about. It's like almost exactly that, but I don't need to necessarily monetize that, do I? I just need to go, hey, why don't I just say, oh no, I don't like how the dashboard looks like that. Or also I want to be able to put in what I'm doing at the gym in there, but I want to be able to do it this way. It's completely just doing something for yourself, right? Like it doesn't need to be if you end up monetizing something, but I think we're now going to get into just like self-productivity software.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it becomes like then a choice. It's like, okay, well, I built this in, it's working really well for me. Do I want to commit the time to then trying to go and market it and put it and keep it maintained? Because you can probably still make money doing that. Not everyone is going to want to have to go and you still got to put some time into thinking about building it. Or you can just use it for yourself. And like, honestly, the unit economics, if you're doing this as a cheaper way of getting software, that doesn't always make sense. Like, for example, if someone else had built this app, I probably could have got it on I maybe could have paid $10 a month for it. So, and I just am spending $200 in credits to build it. So economically, I don't get any payback for a couple of years. So it's not necessarily like you don't do this because you're trying to save money necessarily, unless you're replacing like legacy software that's trying to charge you $50,000 a year. It's more to get the personalized thing that you just wanted. Like you wanted this thing, you wouldn't be bothered trying to find an app or downloading 10 and seeing what they do. It's like, no, I want this thing and I'm going to build it, and I'm happy to pay $200 for that.
And then, so, I mean, you're sort of, because these things always usually return to something that sort of already exists. Like they say a lot of software is just Excel and Outlook. Like this is almost Apple Notes, photos, and voice memos, right? Like it's sort of like,
exactly.
Yeah, these existing, it's like bundling them into a better user experience. So it will be interesting to see if with some Gemini models and stuff, whether Apple almost invite this into their own, ecosystem and say, I don't know how that's going to look, but it just seems like these are all stuff that almost already exists, but there's no AI applied to it, and the user experience is pretty bland. Like the user experience for those three products hasn't changed for 10 years. Do you know what I mean? So it's a very exciting time, and it is actually a fairly cool way. Instead of there feels like for me, like I was really concentrating this year on limiting my social media time, and like really telling myself, like, so I've got this little mantra that I'm looking at: am I consuming or am I building? And it's like things like, if I'm on social media to do research for this show, I'm still building something. But if I'm just sitting there doom scrolling, or I'm just sitting there eating shit food or whatever, it's like, am I in a consumption mode at the moment? Which is, how much time do you want to spend in consumption, right? Always, how much time am I actually building on something? And I think that there is so much opportunity now. Like if you were ever struggling for motivation to get off just a doom scroll, all these tools are like, you can just be doing the coolest instead, with the same amount of effort. You're still just, typing into your phone. And so I think, 2026 just feels like the year to sort of get off the couch and get off the doom scroll and do something a bit more productive with your spare time.
Yeah, I like that. Be a builder, not a consumer, and or limit your consume time. Like limit that to the things you really enjoy. We all know that you're not going to go and start a winery. You're going to consume the wine. That's your thing, right?
Yeah, I've been trying to think about how I work the wine in, and I'm thinking like, is this a productive drinking session?
No, but I mean, on that, like, I think if you were trying to be productive at all times, like you start to ask the existential question of why, you want to enjoy your life as well. And I think it comes down to balance, but I totally agree with things like, doom scrolling or doing those things that feel a bit addictive or that don't make you feel good after it. And, how can we replace the benefits you get? I want to stay up to date with the news, but are you still using ChatGPT Pulse that delivers you a little soundbite or a little package in the morning? Because I think that is a really good answer to something like the fear of missing out, of not seeing what's going on in your X feed, just to get packaged up information that's personalized that you're going to care about, even in a less addictive format. Like maybe it turns all of your articles that you want to read in X or the post into more like a Kindle where you work your way through it and you're not getting addicted to these flashing lights and videos that are bad for your sleep and are really addictive. Like it seems like there are ways of controlling those bad habits.
Yeah. And if the big companies don't do it, if they keep trying to hack people's minds for the worse, I think we're going to start having the opportunity to set our own algorithm and say, I don't want to see this stuff. I know that I can get lured into watching 7-second videos for 45 minutes, but I'm actually going to do my own product that has hooks into this, and I just want that part of the experience. And so maybe this is the year where we get to, build our own algos and ideally be better for it. You start running out of excuses then, though, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
But and I think, mate, this year, just to wrap up, probably what the theme of the show has been as well has been this, that the 2026 is going to be a year of, the doers, I think, getting rewarded for doing, and being open and trying something new and having a crack. And then, as we always, we love talking about the Chinese and the here, and the year of the snake last year cleared path for the year of the horse this year. So don't know exactly what that means, but maybe people can dwell on it for a week while we figure it out.
I can always bank on you to throw in a bit of lunar mythology at the end of the show.
Wow, Claude code.
Yeah.
Very good. All right. Well, mate, great to be back. Oh, and just for next week, we're going to do a few predictions next week. So we're going to make some bold calls for 2026. So something to look forward to.
Something to tune into. All right. Thanks, Scotty.
All right. Thanks, mate.
Okay. Let's set the roof on fire. Step by step, raise the whole room higher. Pick up your step, don't try hard. Down, up,